You are tuned in to On Air with Chris Shanafelt.
Welcome back On Air with Chris Shanafelt. It's that time of the year, folks. The college football season is coming to an end. College football all-star game invites are currently being handed out over the next coming weeks, and it's a pleasure to kick off another season of NFL Draft prospect interviews. And with that said, it's an absolute pleasure to welcome onto the show 2019 NFL Draft prospect by way of Adams State University. He's All-American wide receiver and was nominated for a second year straight for the Harlan Hill Award given to the nation's best football player in Division II. He's Chad Hovasse, and Chad, really appreciate you taking some time this evening. Can you believe that the time has come where you've already played your final game as a college athlete there at Adams State?
Yeah, no, absolutely. First off, I just want to say I appreciate you having me. But after our final game, a little less than a month ago, I mean, it was pretty surreal that I'd finished up my college career, and just kind of looking forward to these next steps that I'm going to take towards my future and see what's in store for me.
Yeah, I mean, last 5 years you've been there at Adams State, and we're going to be talking about that and more. Your latest bio on the Adams State website has you listed at 6'1", 215. Is that accurate? Is that about where you're at right now?
Yeah, that's pretty spot on at the moment right now.
All right, just want to get that out there. So 6'1", 215 wide receiver. If you're not familiar with him, his name is Chad Hovasse of Adams State University of the RMAC in Division II football. Really fun football conference to watch for those who may not be too familiar. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the name Eckler, the running back from the San Diego Chargers, came from the same conference. Chad, but how about you? How did you end up at Adams State? Being from the state of Colorado, I mean, how did some of the Division I programs like CU, like CSU, Northern Colorado, how did they miss out on you? Because I'm sure if they had another opportunity to offer you, seeing as what you're able to do over the past 4 years, I'm sure they would do just that.
To be completely honest with you, so towards the end of my senior year in high school, I kind of had some family issues that I needed to take care of, when I was at home. And so what ended up happening is after I graduated, I actually ended up, just taking a class at a community college that was close to my home and working a couple jobs, and kind of essentially just took the year to, take care of some things that I needed to take care of, but, make sure that I was working at the same time. And then what ended up happening was, I really, really, really missed football more than anything and knew that I needed to, get to school full time. And so what I ended up doing was just reaching out to, just about every RMAC school in the state of Colorado. And I knew that was probably the best option for me, because I think, going to CU or CSU or, even UNC was kind of a little bit of a reach, especially for a guy who hadn't, been participating in athletics for, over a year. So reaching out to, all the Colorado schools in Division II, and Adams State was actually, the only school that got back to me and obviously offered me a walk-on. I knew I wasn't going to get any money or anything like that. So was just happy that, Adams gave me the opportunity to, go to get back to school, most importantly, but, at the same time, get an opportunity to play some ball again.
Now, Chad, I'm in Chicago. I'm in Illinois. Off the top of my head, we don't have many Division II programs here in the state of Illinois. But the FCS, there are quite a few, Illinois State, Eastern Illinois,
Yep.
You can go on and on. There's about 4 or 5 FCS Division I AA programs out here. What is the, excitement level or the fan bases like there for like Division II football there in Colorado, with the schools that you have in the RMAC, not only Adams State, but Pueblo won the Division II national championship about 3 or 4 years ago. You have Fort Lewis. You have Colorado School of Mines. I mean, what's kind of, when it comes up in conversation, obviously it'll probably come up in conversation with you much easier since you already a Division II football player in that state. But what's kind of the is there a lot of excitement, or do a lot of people pay attention to Division II football there in Colorado?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so the state of Colorado, I don't believe it has any JUCO, football here. I know, like surrounding states, New Mexico and especially Arizona, even though I heard that there's rumors that Arizona's kind of getting rid of a few JUCOs out there. But, Colorado is mainly Division II with obviously, having a couple D1 schools and then a D1 AA like schools that we had mentioned earlier. But I think in general, around the country, I think the RMAC, doesn't get as much credit as it should. And what I mean by that is if you are especially an offensive player, you want to come to the RMAC because, I mean, you got schools like us, Colorado Mesa, especially Colorado School of Mines, and even South Dakota School of Mines, that really, really, really like to sling the ball around. And, it's exciting football to watch, obviously. And then, Colorado State University Pueblo has been a powerhouse, not only in our conference, but the nation, the past 4 or 5 years. I mean, 2014, my true freshman year when I was at Adams, they won the national championship. And I believe that was against Minnesota State Mankato, who's also a powerhouse. So a lot of exciting events, obviously, in the RMAC, and there's a lot of exciting players that come out of the RMAC. I mean, obviously, you see that with the likes of, Danny Woodhead and then, today Austin Eckler. So
absolutely,
kind of, it's fun.
Yeah, and you mentioned, especially if you're an offensive player, you want to play in the RMAC. Your quarterback, Nick Rooney, the past couple of years, I actually interviewed him once he wrapped up his last year at, I believe it was Rochester Community College in Minnesota.
Yep, that sounds right.
Now, this is your profile. Want to get the world to know Chad Hovasse, but just talk about Nick Rooney, what he was able to do to that offense, and how he's kind of been able to help your game out the last couple of years. What was it like to have him tossing you the ball on game day?
It was really nice having him the past 2 years because, I mean, the previous 2.5, 3 years that I was here before, I had between 3 to 4 different quarterbacks that I went through. So it was definitely nice having a guy of, his stature and his caliber, coming into Alamosa and, choosing to come to Alamosa. And, the dude's a competitor, hands down. He loves to compete. He loves to play the game. And, there were times where, he would tell me that I made him look really good, but there was also a lot of times where, he would put the ball in just a perfect location for me to go get and make some plays. So it was nice having him around, to lead this team. And that's the other thing that he did too when he got here was, just help change the culture and, just showing guys the way that, we're trying to do things here with, a new coaching staff. And it was great having him around. Yeah,
Nick Rooney, I believe he holds the junior college record for career passing touchdowns. Obviously, if you play JUCO, you're only playing 2 years at that junior college. I believe he threw for over 100, I want to say 105 career touchdowns in just 2 years there at the JUCO level. Back to you, though, Chad. Again, he's Chad Hovasse, wide receiver out of Adams State University, 2019 NFL draft prospect. Looking back at your Grizzlies career, I mean, every year you got better, not only in the stat sheet do you see that, but in film as well. Obviously, you had to put in that hard work throughout the season, in the off season. But who else would you credit your development over the past 4 or 5 years?
I would say our head coach this year, Josh Blankenship. We kind of butted heads a little bit when he first came in, but that was, because I was really young and kind of learning my position and, what I needed to do. But, with him just in general, just believing in me and then helping develop my skills and, instilling kind of just a better work ethic overall and, kind of just showing me what I was capable of doing and, showing me how to take it to the next step. So I would credit him for a lot of what I was able to do. And then I would also say Marquise Sorrell, who's he's a very underrated, not talked about enough receiver, especially in our conference, even though he did get some recognition this year, which was nice and much deserving for him. But, he was his freshman year, he was at Northwestern Missouri State when, they won back-to-back national titles. And, I guess some things happened his way and he ended up getting the opportunity to come here. But just his skill set and what he brought to the table, I think it made me that much of a better player, having that type of caliber player pushing you each and every day and vice versa.
Now, Chad, a few minutes ago you mentioned, talking about your journey to Adams State, how you got there, and how you just wanted to find any way you could to just play the game of football again. What did it mean to you your redshirt sophomore year to be named team captain? And what's that just mean to you to have the respect from your coaches and teammates, even as a redshirt sophomore, to be named team captain?
No, absolutely. I honestly, I think it's just credit to, my work ability and kind of just what I bring to the table, as a vocal leader and then just trying to lead by example. And even as a sophomore, when I was, 19, 20 years old, it was very humbling to, know that I had that respect from, my fellow players and then also the coaching staff. And it kind of was just kind of put me in a position to where, being in that leadership role, I knew I needed to step up and I knew I needed to take my performance to another level. And I think I did that, each and every year that I got the opportunity to play.
Your junior year, you hauled in 87 receptions for 1,200 yards and 14 touchdowns. You followed that up your senior year this past season, reeling in a career-high 104 receptions for over 1,300 yards and 19 touchdowns. Did you switch anything up this past off season? I mean, how were you able to capitalize on having an even bigger and better year than you had in 2017?
So midway through my junior year last year, I actually ended up tearing my labrum in my left hip, and I played on it for the last 5 games of the season, and it was really interesting. It honestly just felt like I pulled my groin at first, and the last 2 weeks of the year, I realized, something's not right here. And so right before Christmas, around this time last year, I actually got it surgically repaired because it was just at a point to where it was just really, really bad. And I honestly want to say the reason why I had such an increase, in I guess my stats this year was just because of the rehabilitation that I had to do, last winter leading into the summer before I got cleared and all the work that I put into, getting healthy and making sure my body was ready to go for my final year and just putting myself in a position to be successful, after a setback like that.
A few more questions with 2019 NFL Draft prospect wide receiver Chad Hovasse of Adams State University here on air with Chris Shanafelt. Chad, what goes on through your head when you hear your name associated with the NFL? When did it hit you that maybe you have a chance at furthering your football playing career professionally?
It's pretty surreal to think about. And, I really never, especially 4 or 5 years ago when I was just trying to get back into ball, I never thought that this would actually be an opportunity that presented itself. But when I got that Harlan Hill nomination at the end of my junior season, being mentioned with some of the best players in Division II and, kind of having that conversation with my coach that, if I can really produce my senior year and, have another good year and kind of elevate my play, that, it may be a realistic opportunity and something that I can work for and strive for. I mean, I understand how hard it's going to be. And I know that, honestly, being just a Division II player alone is kind of a strength to, what I'm trying to do. But the fact that, I've had conversations with scouts and there's scouts who've reached out to our coaching staff, that kind of just put everything in, to perspective that this is an opportunity that I could make happen.
And speaking of scouts, if you could choose just one game out of your collegiate career for an NFL scout to go back and watch, is there a specific game you can go back and kind of choose that, this is the game right here, I want this team or that team to go back and watch if they had just, let's say, 2 or 3 minutes to spare, and they're like, all right, let's see what Chad Hovasse has to offer. What game are you picking out for them to check out?
No, absolutely. There's 2 games that come to mind this year, but the one that I would probably choose over the other was when we got the opportunity to play Shattering State at home. I think I ended up going for over 150 yards, and I can't remember exactly, close to probably 10 catches, but I had 4 touchdowns in that game. My legs were just really going that game. I was physical. And, everything was just kind of clicking for our offense, and Shattern State was a really, really good team at the time. So beating them in that game it wasn't an upset to our team and, to our city, obviously, but kind of on the RMAC, it was just kind of more of an upset. So if I had to say one game, it would be that one.
Yeah, it was definitely a shootout. Adams State ended up pulling that one away 65-62. And, Chad, you had 12 receptions for 163 yards and 4 touchdowns. So that's, good choice, obviously. And I'm going to have to try and do some research and try to pull that one up myself. Honestly, if I could get the whole game somewhere online, that'll be awesome. That certainly looks like it was. I mean, just looking at the box score and the stats, that looks like it was a very entertaining one, to say the least. For those who aren't familiar with your game, Chad, if you could just give yourself a brief scouting report, I mean, what would you say is your biggest strength, and what is one thing you'd still like to improve on?
Obviously that's going to be
besides your
too.
singing of Marvin Gaye, of course.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, come on! I knew that one was going to come back to haunt us. That was fun. That was fun last year for sure, doing that carpool karaoke. But I'll leave that career behind me and kind of just try to stick with football from here on out. But I don't think it's any secret for anybody who watches me or anybody who's heard about me. I'm definitely I feel like I'm definitely a good size for the position that I play, but obviously in the conference that I play, I get the opportunity and I use my physicality to my strengths. And I would say that arguably I have the best hands in the country. I have bigger sized hands, and everything. My mentality is if the ball's coming my way, I've got to do everything to battle and make that catch, especially if it's contested or if it's a tough catch. And then the things that I probably want to work on the most, and this will depict, if I get the opportunity to, make a squad, is, obviously my speed and then my get off, because at the next level, you're talking about competition that's a lot lengthier and a lot quicker, and they love to get your hands on. And, I'm all about the physicality and I'm all about the contact, and I'm looking forward to that challenge. And I can't wait to, have that opportunity when somebody gives it to me.
And unfortunately, your season has been over for nearly a month now, after finishing 4-7. What have these last few months consisted of for you, and do you have any plans written on your calendar for the coming months? Do you? I know it's still really early, so I wouldn't be surprised if not. But do you have any college football all-star game invitations? Do you have any plans for pro day? Do you know where you're training at? Any of that set up just yet?
So I actually have the opportunity to go down to Fort Worth, Texas, at the couple days after the New Year's, from January 5th to the 9th, and participate in the College Gridiron Showcase.
Nice.
So I'm looking forward to that. I also just recently signed with an agent. His name's Kevin Robinson, and he represents Capital Agency Sports, really good company up in Denver. And, between him and I and conversations that we've had, he thinks it's going to be best for me. And, I completely agree with him with what I'm going to be doing with my training up at Landau Performance, which is up in Centennial, Colorado. It's just South Denver. So looking forward to that opportunity, and, just ready to get to work.
Yeah, and for those who are familiar with the NFL Draft Prep season, Landau is certainly one of the best facilities you can go to. Every year they're flushing guys to the NFL. So obviously a very exciting time for you, Chad. Final question for you, and then we'll let you go. Really do appreciate your time. Let's say we have all 32 NFL general managers. They're tuned in, listening to this interview. Why should they want the wide receiver out of Adams State University, Chad Hovasse, a part of their organization?
I want to say that, everything happens for a reason. And, my work ethic and what I bring to the table and, the development of my skill set and my skills that I'm going to continue to develop. I don't think anybody should pass on me or overlook me because, I know what I bring to the table. I know what my work ethic's going to be. I am going to go to battle every single day. And, I have that drive and that will in me that's, it can't be competed against. And I don't know how else to, put that into words, but I know what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to, run through a brick wall for anybody, and I'm going to do that if a general manager gives me the opportunity to.
No doubt about it. And obviously year after year we always see it's not where you're drafted or where in the NFL draft you're drafted at, but just what you do with the opportunity given to you or the opportunity that you've earned. And Chad, obviously pro day numbers are going to be huge for you, but certainly the tape speaks for itself, and that alone is very impressive. Now we're kind of focusing on turning into a track athlete and blowing scouts away for your pro day. Have fun with that. I mean, I know that's kind of got to be a little bit irritating, I guess, for the football player inside of you, seeing as what you've been able to do over the past 4 years. But, there's no doubt that you're probably going to be blowing that one away as well. But really, really do appreciate you taking some time to chat this evening, Chad. Really wishing you all the best. It's been really a treat chatting with you. Really liked hearing your story and kind of your journey to Adams State to now, and really looking forward to seeing where this football career of yours ends up next professionally. So again, thank you, Chad. Any final words for you? Go ahead.
No, man, I really appreciate you having me and, giving me the opportunity to, kind of give you a little update with what's going on with me and kind of my journey to, where I've come and where I'm at now. So I really, really appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Hopefully we could chat in the future. With that said, for Chad Hovasse of Adams State University, I'm Chris Shanafelt. Be sure to stay tuned to On Air with Chris Shanafelt.